أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال موسى لقومه إن الله يأمركم أن تذبحوا بقرة قالوا أتتخذنا هزوا قال أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. صدق الله. My dear respected elders and brothers, mothers and sisters, and respected listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We greet you and welcome you to Quran Tafseer with Mikaeel. Um, I hope all are healthy and doing well um, during these difficult times that we're still in, tricky times. And may Allah Ta'ala make everything easy for all of us and save us from any sicknesses, any difficulties financially, physically, all different types of problems that we may have. May Allah Ta'ala relieve us and help us get through it, and give us the endurance and the patience and the strength to get through these difficult times. We are in Surah Al-Baqarah, and today we will be doing the 67th verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. Last week we did about one, and we've been doing about the Bani Israel, the events and different occasions and different stories and incidents that happened at the time of Musa alayhi salam with the followers who were called the Bani Israel. The Bani Israel were, many of them followed ardently Musa alayhi salam, but unfortunately many of them were inconsistent and had a lot of spiritual problems, a lot of mental problems in regards to following the clear instructions. And I say clear because Musa alayhi salam was unconditionally helping them and assisting them and sacrificed his own riches and life in order to help the Bani Israel. I say clearly because he saved them from the Fir'aun, and we already read about Fir'aun and the terrible things that he used to do to Bani Israel. I say clearly because they saw the unseen help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through miracles, whether it be through the beautiful miracles that were given to Musa, the staff turning into the serpent, his hand shining, and then after that, the splitting of the ocean, the splitting of the Red Sea. And then after that, we talked about also the food that was provided to them, manna wa salwa, the beautiful chicken that was given to them, and the nice, beautiful honey graham crackers or honey, or the beautiful thing that used to come and like dew on the branches, like a halwa, a type of sweet dish that was sent to them. Whether it be the water shooting out from the rocks for all of their tribes to drink from, a water fountain made for them miraculously, the cloud that was hovering over them, giving them shade. And there were some warnings also. They saw the transgression, what it caused them, the hurt and pain it caused them to transgress against the clear assistance and commandments of Allah Ta'ala. Many of them died in that by punishment. And these were different incidents that we did. Chronologically, it's history-wise, the chronological, description of this is sometimes hard because Allah Ta'ala, the way He really reveals stories, sometimes He does it not in order. And there are many, many very latif and very specific, very delicate points in that, which I try to outline sometimes, and sometimes because of my my inability, we're not able to do that in a very artistic and very clear way. But at the end of the day, the reason why Allah Ta'ala does not mention that this happened on this date and this happened on that date to this person whose name is this, and we've talked about this before, is because the purpose is not the story. The purpose is the lesson in the story. We're not going to start looking at historical dates here, that now this happened at this certain day, and we should remember that this day this happened, or to this specific person, and now we start getting into the details of that person and their life, which is not the purpose of the story. The purpose of the story is different. It's for us to gain lesson, and a very simple lesson, which Allah Ta'ala throughout the Quran wants us to, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can stay away from these wrongs that they did. If it's a good thing, a good story, which we'll do a lot of those stories as well, if it's something good, then we should try and get that thing in us. One of our teachers used to say very beautifully that whenever a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad passes in front of us and an ayat of Quran passes in front of us, so there's two things a person should think about. A person should think that, am I in this verse? Am I in this hadith which the Prophet Muhammad has talked about, which Allah Taala has revealed? Am I in? Am I included in that? In those qualities of a person who's going to get punished? Am I included in those? In those warnings? Am I included in those good deeds when the Prophet Muhammad or Allah Taala in the Quran talks about some beautiful qualities of a person? Am I part and parcel of that? As Allah talking about me, spending in the path of Allah with sincerity, or fearing God, or helping out the poor. Am I in that verse? Am I in that hadith? And then the second question you should ask is that hadith in me? Is that ayat of Quran in me? So is God talking about me in this? And if not, is that thing in me? Meaning, am I acting upon that? Or if it's a bad quality, is that in me? Am I doing it? Both of the questions basically come out to the same conclusion, that we are supposed to gain lesson in life through these verses and through these ayats of Quran, which should become manifest to our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our staying away from his prohibitions. It's a very clear message, a very simple result, which does not take a lot of research. It doesn't take a lot of years of studies. We don't have to find out which incident took place first, which incident took place after, what were the details, what was the weather on that day, what was the name of the dog that went inside the cave with the Ashab al-Kahf, which is an example that many of the Mufassirin give, that getting too much into the details of the story. Aziz al-Misr, the governor of Misr, his wife, who tried to entice Yusuf alayhi salam, what was her name? Did she ever fall in love with Yusuf? These type of things are not the purpose of the story. So here sometimes we are going back and forth in the story, understanding that even if we cannot come to the conclusion of what happened first and what happened after, that's not really why Allah Ta'ala is speaking about it. And it could be the main reason why Allah Ta'ala has been ambiguous and sometimes unclear as to who Allah Ta'ala is talking about. Certain cities and towns are talked about, which Allah Ta'ala calls Qariya. Certain people are talked about, which Allah Ta'ala calls Rajul. And certain incidents are talked about, which it kind of looks like that the incident which was earlier is talked about later, and the incident which actually came later is talked about earlier in the surah. And another case like that is coming here, where the Mufassirin, I'm not really sure that did this incident happen before the Torah came or after the Torah came. If it happened before the Torah came, so very clearly it seems that there was no injunction and there was no real clear commandment from Allah Ta'ala dealing with unsolved murders. So if it came before Torah, this story, so that would be one conclusion we can come to, that it seems to be that unsolved murders was not something that Allah Ta'ala talked about. And I'm going to talk about the story, you'll understand real quickly if you understand where did unsolved murders come from. The story is about that. And if it came after the Torah, so we have already done a lot about the Bani Israel and them not being satisfied with many of the of the commandments and wanting something more, wanting clarity, and that clarity that they wanted, or the what we call tabdil or mubaddil, the exchange, or the the other thing that they wanted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not being the commandment that he sent down, but some other replacement for it, many a times seemed to be that they were being insincere. They really didn't want to do it. And this was the way that they were acting with Musa alayhi salam and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, procrastinating and trying to ask for other commandments of God instead of the one that was sent down to them. So it could be quite clear, it could be quite possible that the Torah was sent down. There were some clear injunctions that were sent down in regards to unsolved murders, and they didn't care, and they wanted some other type of thing that would solve the problem, and that could be the reason why Musa alayhi salam said, "قَالَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ." So, in order to understand the verse coming up today, I just wanted to give a little background of what we've been doing. And we talked about the people of Sabt also. Allah Ta'ala talked to people of Sabbath, who a group from amongst the Bani Israel. And that was even later on, even past after Musa alayhi salam. These were talking about the time of the Psalms, the Zabur of Dawood alayhi salam. And most of the ulama of Tafseer say this probably happened at the time of Dawood alayhi salam, where the Bani Israel started going against the injunctions and the orders of them not hunting and fishing and doing these dunyawi activities, these worldly activities in the day of Saturday, and they, they didn't listen. Uh, First of all, they didn't listen in open, not openly, but they secretly put the nets out in the water to catch the fish, and then later on, a group even moved away and started openly fishing on the Sabbath day, and Allah Ta'ala punished them. So again, the same type of of subject matter we're talking about here, the same summary, either procrastinating and trying to change the commandments of God, or look for something that is more accommodating to you, or just simply not even follow the commandments of Allah Ta'ala, is not the way to go. And an example of that is Bani Israel, the children of Israel, and not all of them, but a group from amongst them who unfortunately got into this type of relationship with God. So today, moving to today, we can only understand this verse to understand the incident. Mufassirin, the scholars who interpret and translate and tell us about the Quran, they say that this incident was happened with a person from Bani Israel, a young man who wanted to marry another girl. And the girl's father or the family were not in agreement with it. They did not want the marriage to happen. So so they rejected, and we know that in rejection of marriage in our communities also, that's not taken well sometimes. If a person tries to get married to somebody and is rejected, sometimes that spoils the friendship, or taints it. People become skeptical of each other after that. Why didn't you give me the daughter, or why didn't you give me the son? We went there and asked for it, or we're not good enough for it. And there's many reasons why a person won't get married into another family. Just because you're friends with a family, or you eat with them, or you went to some event with them, doesn't mean you want to marry into them. Just like there's a lot of your friends you sit and eat with, and you go to a party with, and you'll do a lot of activities with them, but you won't open a business with them. So everyone doesn't do everything with everybody. So he didn't take it well, the boy, and he ended up, na'udhu billah, when astaghfirullah, may Allah protect us from following our desires and getting into very deep, dark deeds. And he killed the man. He killed the father. He killed the father of that lady. And everyone was in confusion. It was a murder which was unsolved. The man ended up dead. There was some doubts, and of course, evidence was pointing towards that boy. But people who were involved with that boy, family members and stuff, they started now, saying no, he didn't do it. And there was an argument, which Allah is going to talk about. فَدَّارَةٌ فِيهَا. There was an argument amongst the Bani Israel, which caused them to be completely confused and not knowing what was going on with this murder, how it happened, and how are we going to come about to the murderer. If we say this happened after Torah, so the Torah may have had a solution to the problem with evidences and stuff like that. But in regards to if the Torah was not revealed, so Mufassirin say that it seems to be that Allah Ta'ala did not send any clear injunction about the murder yet. And then now Allah Ta'ala gave them an incredibly miraculous way how to solve the unsolved murder. So Allah Ta'ala says, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ. And when Musa alayhi salam said to his tribe, his people, Bani Israel, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرًا. So this would be when they came to Musa alayhi salam and told him, listen, this man has been killed, this man has been murdered. We don't know who did it, or we have doubt about who did it. We need to find out who did this. This is a problem in our community. What can we do, Musa alayhi salam? What can we do for you? So Allah Ta'ala had revealed to Musa alayhi salam that Inna Allah ya'murukum an tadbahu baqara. Allah Ta'ala has ordered you that you must slaughter a cow, which, you know, in the defense of Bani Israel, has nothing really to do with with the murder. Why would, okay, we're asking you about how we can solve the murder. Now he's telling you to slaughter a cow. But in context of what we've done already for the last 20 some odd ayats, we know that Allah Ta'ala has shown them already so much of His blessings, so much of His help and assistance. So many miracles have come in front of these people that they shouldn't be questioning why Allah Ta'ala would say slaughter a cow. They should be actually, looking at it that, okay, I mean, everything's worked out so far and in incredible ways. If Allah Ta'ala wants us to slaughter a cow, then that's what we'll do. And that will be a step to getting what we really want, and that is the murder to be solved. So, Musa alayhi salam told him, Inna Allah ya'murukum. Allah Ta'ala, He orders you, an tadbahu baqarah, that you should slaughter a cow. Qalu, they said, Atattakhiduna huzwa? Are you taking us as a joke? And they responded exactly as what I said, in the way to their defense. But because logically a person would think that what does a cow have to do with slaughtering a cow has to do with solving a murder? But under context of what we've done, they should know that the proof is in the pudding already. This Musa alayhi salam has helped us. Allah Ta'ala has assisted us so many times. I don't think that we are being taken as a mockery. A lot of time has been spent on us. A lot of time and dedication has been given to us. We've been provided food from the heavens. Water has been, blocked for us where we pass through. Our murderer and our oppressor has been killed, and we've been saved from him. So many things have happened where this is the reply. Atattakhiduna huzwa. They could have said that we don't understand. Can we be clear? Other words could have been done, but so disrespectful. Atattakhidun huzwa. Are you taking us as a joke? Are you mocking with us? Are you kidding me? Basically, are they saying this to Musa alayhi salam? Are you kidding me? And Musa alayhi salam was not a man to kid. He was not a person who was going to be joking around, stuff like that. They understood him. So the reply was so disrespectful. That's why Musa alayhi salam said, "Qul a'udhu billahi an akuna min al-jahilin." Musa alayhi salam is so fed up with these people, and now some very harsh words are coming out from him because he's so sad and so stressed and fed up with them. So he says, "Qala." Musa alayhi salam says, "A'udhu billah. I seek protection in Allah, an akuna min al-jahilin, that I be from amongst the ignorant people." So we can see from this dua also that Musa alayhi salam already is trying to separate from his people already. I mean, he's there making him so fed up that he's already making it a distinction. And in other verses, he makes a distinction with his brother also, that me and my brother, we're free from these guys. We Harun, me and Harun, we've got nothing to do with them. I mean, they are really, really causing problems. So he says, "Qul a'udhu billahi an akuna min al-jahilin." I seek refuge in Allah Ta'ala that I am from amongst the jahilin. So this statement I said before could have been taken in both ways. It could be a reaction to atattakhiduna huzwa, or it could be a reaction also to the Torah has come already. We've got some injunctions in there. You asked me, I told you do something. The injunctions are there already. There's already some orders that what you're supposed to do in the Torah. And after that, you asked me, despite that there's something there already we're supposed to be doing. And, I gave you another thing to do. I told you slaughter a cow. You asked me what Allah Ta'ala wants. I told, and now you're saying, are you joking with me? I mean, it's just piling up the nonsense and their disobedience and their disrespect and their ingratitude to Musa alayhi salam, his effort, and Allah Ta'ala himself. So after that, now they started watering down the commandment of Allah Ta'ala as they kept doing procrastination, delaying what they are really supposed to do, and making excuses like they've done before. So going on, Allah Ta'ala says, قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما هي قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا فارض ولا بكر عوان بين ذلك فافعلوا ما تؤمرون. They said to Musa alayhi salam, and they came to a the negotiation, I guess you want to say, And they gave in. They said, we want to get this done. And they knew it would get done because everything else got done, their previous problems. So, قَالُوا دُعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ. They said, make dua, make supplication, call upon Rabbak, your Lord. And in here also there's a sign of disrespect. If they really had pure belief in God, they themselves might have made dua. That's one possibility. And if they were addressing Musa alayhi salam, they would say, "Fad'u lana rabbana," ask our, ask in our behalf to our Lord. But they said, Rabbaka, your Lord. Again, separating themselves and keeping themselves aloof and away from Musa alayhi salam, his efforts, Allahu Ta'ala. They keep expressing through their reactions and through their words that unfortunately they don't seem to be uh, you know, in a joint effort with Musa alayhi salam and Allah Ta'ala. They're kind of just, going along on the ride with them, but not with them. So this is also a very disrespectful way. Or du'ulana, also ordering a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't order a prophet of Allah ta'ala, even though order could have different meaning here. Imperative, a tense of a word doesn't always have one meaning. It doesn't always mean, what you have to do. For example, if you order someone to do something, order a worker to get the job done, it means get the job done. But sometimes you might say something in an imperative way, which doesn't mean that. So it could be that they were just saying, or sometimes we say, Allahumma aftah li abab rahmatik, for example. We are ordering Allah Ta'ala open the doors. It's not an order. We are actually just asking Allah Ta'ala. So sometimes even through the imperative tense, ordering tense, it could mean that we are asking. So that could be there, but it probably is because of their disrespect, and they're ordering Musa alayhi salam like he's some type of servant and some type of worker for them, that he's got to go and keep asking Allah Ta'ala for their requests. So فَدْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ يُبَيِّ لَنَا. You ask your Lord, يُبَيِّ لَنَا, that he clarify for us, ma here, what cow does he want? So Allah Ta'ala said, تَذْبَحُ بَقَرَةً, slaughter a cow. Is that something hard to understand? You've never seen a cow before? They were people who worked with animals and things like that. Slaughter a cow. So they said, يُبَيِّ لَنَا مَا هِيَ. Tell him what he means. Clarify to us. Basically clarify to us what is a cow. So it was a very, very disrespectful, question in the way they framed it. And also it was, again, this pattern of Bani Israel, of procrastination, just delaying in doing the commandments of Allah Ta'ala in a very disrespectful and in a very mocking way. So, kama tadinu tudan, if you're going to mock, you're going to get mocked at. Man shadda shudda alay. If you're going to be tough and hard, then the muamalat and the affairs coming up are going to be tough and hard on you. If you're tough, things will get tough on you. If you're hard and you're being a person who doesn't want to negotiate anything, then the hardness is going to be on you also. So if you're going to now ask Allah Ta'ala the specifics after He has told you something very easy to do, so Allah is going to give you those specifics. You're getting what you're asking for. So Allah Ta'ala said, قَالَ إِنَّهُ يَقُولُ إِنَّهَا بَقَرَةٌ. Now Allah Ta'ala is going to give some qualities to this cow that your Lord has said. Qala, meaning Musa alayhi salam said, Innahu, that Allah Ta'ala, He says, Innaha baqara, it's a cow, la faridun, it is not too old. So first of all, Allah Ta'ala is going to deal with the age of the camel, and which is not a very difficult thing. Camels have different ages. So Allah Ta'ala, first of all, made it a little harder and specified this camel a little bit more, but not in a very difficult and impossible way. La faridun, it's not too old, wala bikr, not too young, awanum bayna dhalik, and it is middle age between the two. So he doesn't want a baby cow or young cow, doesn't want a very old cow, but something in the middle age, which is mashallah. A lot of cows are like that. A lot of cows are like that, middle-aged cow. So basically, Allah Ta'ala wants a middle-aged cow. So is that easier for you? So Musa alayhi salam, he tells them after that, فَافْعَلُوا مَا تُؤْمَرُونَ. Please do what you're ordered. Don't start again. I cannot control Allah Ta'ala. I'm also His servant. If I have to go back to him and tell him that, listen, Bani Israel's not doing it, and they want to know some more details, he's going to come with details. And you've already seen that if you ask for details, that could even end up in the punishment of God. Some of your own family members have perished and died in that way. So he's pleading to the Bani Israel, فَافْعَلُوا مَا تُؤْمَرُونَ. Do what you've been ordered. You asked me to solve this case for you. This is what Allah, my Lord, has told me what to do. I can't go over there and start negotiating with him and telling him why. That's not the way. I'm the servant of God. And then there, of course, is the repeated thing I've been telling you is that we are the servants of God, and we are not to ask why things are happening. And in 9 out of 10 cases, believe me, you won't even have to ask why. Allah never is not asking us to stand on our heads. Yes, He may ask us for something which is difficult. He may ask us for something which is a sacrifice. Yes, but it's not going to be illogical. It's not going to be illogical. So for us to sit there and ask why, especially these days where people ask, why can't I, have a, illicit relationship? Why can't I drink? Why can't I smoke marijuana? Why can't I do drugs? And these are all things that are already, and I explained it last week, are already evil. They're already things that it's not going to help you. So, it's not even Allah Ta'ala asking you something which is, something which, you don't understand it to be beneficial. Like here, to the defense of the Bani Israel, and I already told you, according to context, it's not to their defense, but I'm telling you in a way that a person might say that, what does a cow have to do with murder? So, I would ask also, but no, you wouldn't have asked you Bani Israel if you were a proper person, because you already had seen so many miracles and seen Allah Ta'ala's help. Anyway, let's go forward. I'm repeating myself. So Arwanum Baina Dhalik. Arwan means middle-aged. Middle-aged, between young and old. Faf'alu ma tu'marun. O Bani Israel, please do what you've been ordered. They didn't. قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما لونها قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة صفراء فاقع لونها تسر الناظرين. Allah Ta'ala says, قالوا ادع لنا ربك. Allah Ta'ala says, Musa alayhi salam says that, they said to Musa alayhi salam, the Bani Israel, ادع لنا ربك. Again, disrespectfully telling Musa alayhi salam, go and ask your Lord. يبين لنا, that He clarify for us, ما لونها, what's its color. So Allah Ta'ala already told them clearly, just a cow. They asked, Allah Ta'ala told them the age of the cow. Now what's next about the cow? What? That it has a funny personality? It has a, what else do you want to know? Okay, ما لونها, what's its color? So again, all of this is in mockery. Don't think that they're really interested in doing what they're supposed to do. If they were interested and they really want to do it, when they heard about slaughtering the cow, they would have said, Alhamdulillah, that's all we have to do. Let's go slaughter a cow, and we're going to get this murder solved. They would have said that. But they're not interested. They're not interested. They are interested in getting the thing done, but they want to get it done their own way. And they don't want to get it done in the way that Allah Ta'ala wants them to get it done. So ma lawnuha, what's the color? So Allah Ta'ala makes it harder on them now. All Musa alayhi salam said, Innahu yaqul, your Lord Allah Ta'ala says, Innaha baqaratun, it is a cow, still is a cow, safra, yellow in color, a yellow cow, faki'un, rich yellow. I want a golden cow, must be golden in its color, a yellow cow, which is not the most impossible thing to find, but it is getting more specific, because now you have a middle-aged yellow cow, and not any yellow, but golden. Fakir means rich in yellow, kind of like a gold color. Lawnuha tasurru nadirin, and one sign of it would be that the color, it makes the people who look at it very happy. It pleases those who listen, it pleases those who see it. When you see the color, you say, wow, that's a beautiful golden cow. Not every cow might be like that. You might see a gold or yellow cow, and might say it's yellow in color, it's got blemishes on it, something like that. And he's going to talk about la shiyata fiha. But usually when you see it, you're going to be happy. And you're going to say, this is a nice color. It's a good color of a cow. And it's golden, a beautiful golden color. So now more specific the cow has become. Has it become so specific now that this injunction and this commandment is going to be, it's become more difficult, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. A middle-aged yellow cow is something you can find, but it has become harder. They should learn their lesson. Then okay, now it's becoming more. Let's do it. No. قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما هي إن البقرة تشابه علينا وإنا إن شاء الله لمهتدون. Now, قالوا ادع لنا ربك. They said, supplicate to your Lord. يبين لنا ما هي. And he can clarify us what is this. Now they asked about the color. They asked about the age. The age, of course, they shouldn't ask about the size because the age basically takes care of that. So they have nothing really else to ask. So what do they say? They act like no specifics have been given. They act like no specifics have been given. And they say, إِنَّ الْبَقَرَ تَشَابَ عَلَيْنَا. This cow is confusing upon us. We don't know what you want. We don't know the specifics. We don't understand what kind of cow you want. And us here sitting here on a Sunday morning, we're not even scholars, and we know that he wants a middle-aged golden cow. You go up to where we have cows in Pennsylvania, tell them you got a middle-aged golden cow. The guy will come out and say, I got about 5, 6 of them. It's not a hard thing to find. But they're acting like no specifics have been given. It's a very hard thing. We don't know what to do. So, utter mockery and disrespect and being being unthankful and showing ingratitude to Allah Ta'ala. Inna al-baqara tashaba alayna. The baqara, we're confused about it. Tashaba alayna. It's become confused upon us. We don't know what to do. Wa inna insha'Allah lamuhtadun. But insha'Allah, God willing, after we get the answer and specifics in this time, lamuhtadun, will be guided and we will do it. We'll be guided and we will do it. Because they said this, some of the ulama mention that Allah Ta'ala did not punish them, and Allah Ta'ala, even though they asked the specifics, Allah Ta'ala got it done for them, and they were able to get this done. If they wouldn't have said Inshallah Allah muhtadun, they might have even been punished right after that, because of asking the specifics and and tiring and bothering Musa alayhi salam and Allah Ta'ala so much with this. So Allah Ta'ala, He gives them more specifics and makes it more difficult on them. And now they will need what you call the hybrid. They will need the hybrid and the upper echelon of cows, and very difficult to find this cow. Now they're going to have to go to all the farms and try and find it. And there's a very specific cow. And he mentions, قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا ذلول تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث مسلمة لا شية فيها قالوا الآن جئت بالحق فذبحوها وما كادوا يفعلون. Allah Ta'ala says, قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة. Musa alayhi salam said that your Allah has told me that it is a cow. لا ذلول. لا ذلول can have two meanings. لا ذلول could mean he's not easy to control, not an obedient cow, not tractable, not obedient, not easy to control, a bit of a wild cow, so it's going to be hard to kill, and not easy to control in the way that tuthiru al-ardha wa la taskil harth. Since he's not easy to control, so he is not tuthiru al-ardh, he's not tilling the land as the cows usually do. They are plowing the land. Not only do they give off milk, and not only do they do these things, but sometimes they use for farming usage. So it's not tilling the land, wala taskil harth, and it's not watering the land also. Many of these cows were laden with water. They used to carry water. So the cow is not doing any type of khidmat. It's not doing any type of work. The reason why? Dhalul. It's a bit of a wild cow. You can't get the plow on its back. You can't get the water bags on its back. It'll kick you. It'll run away. He's a wild cow. So you get some cows which are like that. Dalul could also mean from the word dalil, which means disgraceful, because the cow does become a little bit disgraceful when it starts toiling the land and starts farming the land, and also when it's used for watering purposes and carrying water. So it tends to get a little bit disgraced. It gets blemishes on it. It starts working. It gets a little bit unhealthy. The fact that it's got a plow strapped on its back or water bag strapped on its back. So this is kind of a zillat and kind of a a disgrace on the animal, and the animal becomes disgraced as we become disgraced if we're doing very hard work and sitting in the fields and doing hard work. Sometimes it becomes a bit disgraceful. Even now in our minds, an honorable job would be that sitting in some CEO office and sitting nicely and you're relaxing and things like that. In contrast to sitting in some field and doing the hard work and sweating and being under the sun. Some of us have that type of mind frame. So if we understood like that, so dalul could mean that the animal's not disgraced. It's not disgraced in the way that it's doing work in the lands. So in both cases, we are looking for an animal who's not working. Musallamatu la shiyata fiha, and the animal is musallama. The animal is free. And what is the bayan and what is the explanation of free? La shiyata fiha. It's got no aib, no blemishes in it. We already talked about golden, a beautiful golden cow, not working, middle-aged, and also at that, not a blemish in it. Don't bring me a golden cow with a black hair in it. Don't bring me a golden cow that's got some scar on it, that's got something wrong with it. No, a perfect, basically, it's a cow that's usually away from everybody else, a purebred, hybrid, beautiful cow. A cow that you got it in its own stable. Everybody comes and looks at it. It's a beautiful cow, the mark of what a cow should be. So that's going to be difficult to find also because cows are not all like that. And also it's going to be something that's going to be very expensive as well. They're going to have to find that cow, they're going to have to buy it, and it's going to be very, very expensive. So this is the cow they got. They said, now your Lord has brought the truth. Now we understand what it is we need. And they couldn't even, this shows the lack of understanding and how idiotic many of the Bani Israel were, that this is what the truth was. The truth was in the first one. That what? Allah Ta'ala made it very easy for you. Slaughter a cow. That's the truth. That's the easy one. Now this is the haqq. This is so hard and so difficult. You have basically forced Allah Ta'ala to bring about all these conditions on you. And Allah Ta'ala is mustaghni. He will do that. If you make it hard, Allah will make it hard on you. If you want it easy, Allah will make it easy for you. So, al-an ji'ta bil-haq, they said, in their own understanding, now we understand. Now the truth is here. فَذَبَحُوهَا. They were able to get access to that cow. Some ulama have given different stories of tafseer of how, but in a very difficult way, in a very expensive way also. They finally found the cow that they needed. They slaughtered it. وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. And Allah does not talk about the details, but it was a job and it was a problem all the way till the zabih. وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says, and they almost didn't even do it. And they almost didn't even do it. So there must have been incidents which Allah Ta'ala has not talked about here, that all the way up to the slaughtering of the cow and getting what Allah Ta'ala wanted done. In between it, there was some more unfortunate incidents that happened, which almost looked like they weren't about to do it after all these clear instructions. وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. And they almost didn't even do it. Allah didn't want to talk about it. I'm not even going to waste more ayat and verses of the Quran on it. I've talked enough. I've actually devoted for this story, the name of the surah is Surah Al-Baqarah. This is the reason why this is called Surah Al-Baqarah, because of this story. So it's a significant story, and the thesis and or you can say the crux of it is what? Is following the commands of Allah Ta'ala, staying away from prohibitions, and following what Allah Ta'ala has revealed to you, especially after Allah Ta'ala has shown you and put in your heart the conviction of Him. You should not now procrastinate and do other things other than what Allah Ta'ala has told you. Carrying on, Allah Ta'ala now goes back to the beginning of the story, that why did this happen? And I'll tell you why Allah Ta'ala did that after also. وَإِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا فَادَّارَأْتُمْ فِيهَا وَاللَّهُ مُخْرِجٌ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says, and remember when you had said, إِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا, remember when you had killed somebody, فَادَّارَأْتُمْ فِيهَا, and you started arguing in regards to it. وَاللَّهُ مُخْرِجٌ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. Allah Ta'ala is going to expose that which you are hiding. Now Allah Ta'ala is going back to the beginning of this story, which I talked about already. This is talking قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا. This is talking about the boy who killed the father. So now Allah Ta'ala is mentioning the reason of this story, which I had to tell you, make you understand the context of the the story of Baqarah. Now Allah Ta'ala is saying it at the ending. So why would Allah Ta'ala mention the reason for the story after and mention the story first? So the ulama has said the wisdom in this is so that Allah Ta'ala can separate the two wrongs that were done. The two wrongs that were done. Because the people who wanted to solve this mystery could be looked at as very innocent people, as very innocent people. Sometimes people stand behind some wrong, and they are doing wrongs themselves, but they stand behind that wrong and they try to, become very innocent behind that wrong, but they have wrongs in themselves. Sometimes you get, in our politics also, uh, politicians will hang on to some type of thing going on in the community, and they'll hang on to it and they'll stick onto it, but behind that they're doing their own wrongs. The corruption that they're doing, that I'm backing up this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm backing up this group, and we are with them, and we are going to be strong with them, and people look at them and say, wow, that's great, they're backing us up, but they're doing that in order to hide their own problems and their own corruption, and to divert the attention away from the wrongs that they're doing. So Allah Ta'ala didn't want that to happen. That the people who wanted to solve this murder, they also had their own problems. And what was their problems? Exactly that, which we just talked about. That I told them the solution, and they went again into their whole procrastination and their whole mumbo jumbo with Musa alayhi salam of delaying, following the clear command of Allah Ta'ala, and disrespect and mockery and making fun, which we call istihza. That was wrong. And Allah Ta'ala wanted to emphasize that first because it could have got lost in the whole story. And the second wrong is what happened with the Bani Israel and what happens in many communities. That this young boy killed somebody. He obviously had family members. He had people who he was connected with. And there was an argument that happened amongst the Bani Israel with that boy's family and with that boy's backers, and with the other people of Bani Israel, obviously the family of the person murdered, or people who just wanted something, right to come out from this. This murder must be solved. So they started arguing. The family of the boy, who probably knew that he did it, other people who probably knew that he did it, were backing him up in that wrong and were saying that no, he didn't do it. And the other people also who wanted this murder to be solved and actually, probably, had some idea that this person did it. They also started arguing. So there was an argument in regards to, who did this and who didn't. So Allah Ta'ala wanted to talk about that also. And Allah Ta'ala indicates towards it, إِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا. He didn't say, وَإِذْ قَتَلَ نَفْسًا رَجُلٌ مِّنْكُمْ. Allah Ta'ala said, when you killed, that some from amongst the Bani Israel were so guilty that they knew so clearly that this boy had killed that man, that Allah Ta'ala made the murder related to them. وَإِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ. When you killed that man. So that would be the reason why Allah Ta'ala said you killed him. Because not everyone killed him, but some people backed up and hid, or because of asabiya, because of bigotry, because he was in their family, because of culture, they backed him up even though they knew he was wrong. They backed him up in his killing, in his murdering, and that's why Allah Ta'ala said, you are just as bad as the murderer in backing him up. فَدَّارَتُمْ فِيهَا. And you started arguing. Iddaru means to argue. So فَدَّارَتُمْ فِيهَا. You started arguing, and no, yes, him, you, and they started arguing in regards to that. وَاللَّهُ مُخْرِجٌ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. And Allah Ta'ala said He's going to expose that which you are hiding. Now Allah wa Ta'ala brings about why the whole cow was going to be slaughtered. Why was the cow going to be slaughtered? Allah Ta'ala said, فَقُلْنَا ضْرِبُوهُ بِبَعْضِهَا كَذَلِكَ يُحْيِي اللَّهُ الْمَوْتَى وَيُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says, وَقُلْنَا ضْرِبُوهُ. And we said, strike, you should all strike the person who is dead, بِبَعْضِهَا, with some of the flesh of that slaughtered animal. They slaughtered the cow. This cow's sitting there. What are we supposed to do with it? Why were we told to do this? We're going to eat it. What are we going to do? What's it got to do with the murder? Now Musa said, Why are you questioning Allah? I told you. Allah Ta'ala wants you to become obedient to Him without questioning why and when and this, that. You're supposed to be the clear obedient servant of Allah Ta'ala because Allah Ta'ala showed you His help, His unseen help. You should have done what you're supposed to do without asking any questions. You didn't, but still Allah Ta'ala is mukhrijum ma kuntum taktumun. He's going to expose what's going to go on. How's He going to do that? That cow that you were doubting about to slaughter, which had nothing to do with the murder, take a piece of flesh of that cow and strike it on that dead man's body. Allah Ta'ala is going to bring him to life, and He is going to now tell you who killed him. Subhanallah. And that's what happened. They took a piece of the flesh, and they struck it on that man, and he touched the man. The man woke up out of his death and said that this is the boy who killed me. He killed me because of my daughter. And then he went back and died again. The miracle of Allah Ta'ala. Again, another miracle and another unseen help of Allah Ta'ala. Another thing that should bring them to their knees and should never ever let them doubt Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and this mission of Musa ever again. They should be ardent servants and ready to do whatever Musa says. That should be done. كَذَلِكَ يُحْيِي اللَّهُ الْمَوْتَى. Allah Ta'ala indicates towards him raising this dead person. And Allah Ta'ala says, in that way, Allah Ta'ala will raise the people from the dead. Now, there's two messages here. One is Allah Ta'ala is giving the message on what happened, what was the process, and how was this murder solved. Allah Ta'ala told him to strike that person, and he came to life. And also when there's a lesson for the Bani Israel, a lesson for us, and a lesson for the mushrikeen at the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who had great doubts about Allah Ta'ala being able to raise people from the dead. Allah Ta'ala said, in that way, Allah Ta'ala raises people from the dead. Allah Ta'ala raises man from the dead by striking a piece of flesh of cow on him. The cow was just a formality. It had its wisdoms in it, and we know why. We've talked about that. But Allah Ta'ala in that way will raise the people from the dead. Allah Ta'ala can raise people from the dead on the day of Qiyamah. It's no problem for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. وَيُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِ. And Allah Ta'ala shows you His signs. There's many signs of this. Allah Ta'ala brings life back to the dead ground, which we've seen now. It's summertime. Everything is green and plush. After a few months, it'll all be gone again. It'll all be dirt. All of our vegetables and fruits won't be coming out. But now all the vegetables and fruits and trees are lively and beautiful. They'll die. Allah will bring them back to life. And we've done examples already about that as well. So there's many signs in the world and in the dunya and everything that we see, which shows us the qudrat and the ability and the power of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Ultimately, that power which will bring dead people to life, which people have never experienced. They don't see it. Everyone who dies and never comes back. But Allah Ta'ala has signs in His world. And this was a miraculous sign, which was a rare sign that showed a dead person coming back to life. He admitted and of course exposed his murderer, and the murder was exposed. And then what happened after that, Allah Ta'ala doesn't get into, because that's not the purpose of the story. Was that man killed after that? What happened to him? What about? Allah doesn't get into it. Allah doesn't get, because that's not part of the story. He doesn't want you to go into the details. He wants you to get what the purpose and what the lesson of the story is, and that is you should follow the commandment of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. You should not back people up in their wrong. That's also wrong. Asabiyah, which Allah Rasulullah has talked about, that there's no asabiyah in Islam. There's no bigotry in Islam where you back up your people of their wrongs. When a person, your family member, your political group, even people in your religion. Allah Ta'ala says another ayat, even if it's your father and your parents and your children and your family, ashiratukum, you do not back them up in bigotry, in a biased way, and you're not a bigot that now you're backing them up in their wrongs. You know they're wrong, you still back them up only the mere fact because that they're your family members, or they share the same religious beliefs as you, or they share the same ideas, political ideas. This is not in Islam. La asabiyata fil Islam. There's no asabiyya in Islam. So Allah Ta'ala had that small underlying lesson there as well. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. And Allah Ta'ala, so that you can understand. The main thing is that you have to use this intellect in the right way. Sometimes you have to separate the intellect from the heart. You can't always go what the heart wants, what the heart, that's it. Everyone tell you that follow your heart. And everybody knows, people who are in the business and people who knows real part of, it's it's a real gimmick just to make people cause people enthusiasm to follow their dreams. But everyone's dreams don't come true. It's the reality of life. You can't do anything you want. Sometimes you have to separate, and you have to come to a point where you think, right? If you're not a very intelligent person and you're working hard, but you're not getting good grades in college, you're probably not going to be a surgeon. You're probably not going to be a surgeon, and you've done everything what you have to do, and you've worked your hardest. Your grades are still not there. You don't have the mind capability to, to get into the program, but your heart wants to get in. It's your dream. Many people cannot. Now you have to become a little bit lower. Maybe you're going to be a veterinarian. Maybe you're going to be a regular doctor. Maybe you're going to follow something else. You got to use your akal sometimes. So here Allah Ta'ala says you got to use your akal. Use your brain, use your mind. Don't just think with your heart what you want, that I want to be a free bird flying in the sky and I want to do what I want and this. No. Use your akal. What is Allah Ta'ala trying? He wants you to come on some commandments. He wants your salvation hereafter. Follow him. If you don't, Allah Ta'ala will let you go with your heart. But the Bani Israel's heart was so hard and their akal was so tough that Allah Ta'ala in the next verse is going to liken them to stones. No, actually their heart and their mind was even tougher than a stone, because the stone sometimes gives in. Stone gives in, water goes through it sometimes it falls from its situated place. And Allah Ta'ala is going to talk about, give three examples of stones, and even in there's a great hikmah and wisdom of Allah Ta'ala. But in the crux and in the summary matter is that we know that when a person has a stone, a rock solid hard heart, and a stone mind, hard-headed we call it, nothing penetrates. No matter what you do, no matter what you show them, nothing penetrates. So that is the purpose of that. Inshallah, next week we'll go into that incredible example. And now we finish the story of Baqarah, which this surah was named upon, and which a lot of the surah has talked about the commandments of Allah Ta'ala. And it's preparing us for the rest of the surah, which will be a lot of commandments for us. That now we don't follow the ways of this way, where we become procrastinates. We will start now procrastinating, and we start becoming people who are looking at things in a very bad way. We don't become these type of people. We don't procrastinate. We don't delay. We are always ready for the commandment of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Whatever Allah Ta'ala will tell us to do, we are ready to do that. Of course, that's not anything crazy. A person might say, "Oh my God, that's crazy. That's fanaticism." No, Allah Ta'ala is not going to tell us to do things which are terrible. Allah Ta'ala is, of course, Aziz. He is strong in what He wants, and He is, the most mighty. But He's Hakim also. Allah Ta'ala is wise. He's not erratic, where He's going to tell us to do the wrong things. He's always going to tell us to do the right things, and He's not going to tell us things which are illogical or dangerous for people. May Allah wa Ta'ala give us tawfiq and give us the ability to understand these verses. May Allah give us the ability to read the Quran, ponder over it, understand it, read the mustanad and very reliable tafsir and translations and explanations of the Quran, and try to bring it in our life and bring it into our different situations that we have in our life. It will help us in this world, and definitely Al-Quran shafi'un mushaffa'a. It will help us in the next life, because if we use this Quran as our leader and we use it as our qa'id and as the one who we will follow, then inshallah the Quran will intercede for us on the Day of Judgment. And the Quran is such that its intercession is readily accepted. Jazakumullah khaira wa akhu da'wana alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.